shout out to Amy Jackson. She's a client that I'm working with. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Amy, I told you I would give you a shout out. You're doing good. Enjoy that cake, and we will get back to it right after that. You know what I mean? Enjoy the celebration. The second thing that I wanted to say before I share information about gluten and celiac disease is I wanted to give a shout out to my very dear friend, former client. Her name is Jacqueline. We call her Jax. I did a post earlier on Facebook. I had no idea. I talked to Jax before Christmas. I had reached out, and before that, probably June, and we kept saying we were going to get together and catch up on some things. And then I just found out that she died. I don't know the details of how she died as of yet. I literally just found out a few hours ago, and it was very sad. Jax first was my client, and we did extremely well. She was a rock star. And then she became my friend, and then we did some work together. And she was just a stand-up person. She has some amazing daughters, and I got to meet one of them. Well, I met them both, but I got to meet one who actually shared this with me today, and I'm very thankful, Celeste, for that. But it just reminds me, like a little over a year ago, I had one of my clients who became a friend, who then became a diet-free life coach. She became a coach and started helping people. Judy Q. She had come out to one of our trainings and our retreats, and I'm so thankful that she did, because months later, she was gone. She died. When you're in the spotlight and you do a lot of the things that I do, and you touch and meet, hundreds, thousands of people, and because I'm so into it, and I really love helping people, I get to know these people, and they become my friends. And then you have software like Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms where you get to stay up to date with, your friends or people in your network and family. And so you get to stay in touch, like imagine the days of before Facebook, before Twitter, and you couldn't just see what's going on. You didn't see people until you saw people, and you had no idea what happened to your childhood friends and whatever happened to, people that you knew. And then you meet someone else, and then they would say, "Hey, did you hear, Johnny died?" You go, "Wow, man." And all you can see in your mind's eye is what they looked like the last time you saw them or when you were kids. But with Facebook and all these things, which I think is great, you get the kind of always have a snapshot, if you will, of their photo albums. You know how you used to, like back in the day, and my 25-year-old friends won't get this, but back in the day, when you went over to someone's house, you would go to their house, and there's always those albums in the corner or sitting on the table or somewhere near, or they break them out, and you start reminiscing and looking at photos. Well, now you can do that on your phone. I mean, it's just different. And I'm thankful. I like what's different about it. But with Jax going, I wanted to verbally say she will be missed. Heaven has a new amazing person. And it's another wake up call. Because just 5 days ago, my ex-wife's husband, had a massive heart attack and died. And he was a great guy. I mean, like if I had to write down on paper what it would look like and how a person would be to be a really cool, responsible, accountable father, husband, he would be right in there. And he's gone. So losing these people, um, it just kills me. So there's some people that I love and I know and I haven't been in touch with, and I'm going to reach out to you because I will forever feel bad that I didn't get to see Jax again. She was awesome. She was a good person, went out of her way for a lot of people. It's just a reminder. And this is a reminder for all of us. You know, those people that you kind of have a grudge against, or sometimes it's a sibling that you haven't talked to in a really long time. Maybe you had a disagreement and you're holding it. You know what? You never know what's going to happen tonight. You never know. So my recommendation is bury the hatchet, pull up your panties, put on your big boy shorts or big woman shorts and apologize, man. It's just not worth it. It really isn't. Life is too short. And that's what gives me so much joy as I work with some of you are my clients, my personal clients, and coaches and people that I get to work with. I'm happy to be an asset to help you tap back into a quality of life that you haven't had in a while. Yeah, just really sad. So normally I would have my daughters at this point, but they are out and about. I had them yesterday for dinner, and then they wanted to be at their mom's house so they could wake up and have one of their first experiences of walking away from the house on their own with no parent supervision and going to meet with some friends. And I think that's so cool and it's so cute. Because that's how I grew up. That's how it was when we grew up, right? We grew up. I mean, my mom didn't see me all day. and we watch our kids like a hawk, and the world we live in is just not the same. And this isn't everywhere, but at least in my community where I live in Ventura, California, that's the way it is. Because as I travel, I get to see how kids are living the way I remember growing up. So anyway, okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to share 3 things with you about this whole gluten thing. And I'm going to invite you because in our next Stay Healthy Experience show, Barbara and I are going to talk about this, and I'll go into great detail. But here's what I want you to understand. There's this thing called gut bacteria or gut health or microbiome. And there's a lot of talk about it, and it's growing. It has been for the last 10, 11, 12 years. And we're learning so much about it as far as how it pertains to our health and how we lose weight. And this is what we know. Over the last 50 years, there's been an increase, 500% increase of people being diagnosed with celiac disease. And there's a whole bunch of autoimmune diseases that have sparked up and continue to climb. And a lot of this is associated with our microbiome, your gut bacteria. That's what we're learning. And you hear a lot of people, and the industry jumps on this, and they start selling products that are gluten-free. And then you have all the wannabes, and I'm saying that not to be disrespectful, but you have a lot of people running and assuming that they're gluten sensitive. Well, celiac disease confirms if you're gluten sensitive. And here's what some of you may want to know. We're also seeing an increased disruption of the microbiome coming about because people who are not gluten sensitive, they don't have gluten concerns. They are not dealing with celiac disease, but they're choosing to avoid gluten. They're choosing to avoid gluten because they think that that's the best thing to do. Oh, no, I don't do gluten. Those people are causing major disruption of their microbiome. If you don't have celiac disease and you're avoiding gluten, I know your mind is like, hey, I got to make a difference. I got to get healthier. I think gluten is something I need to avoid. I hear people talking about it. People are talking about it. People are talking about it. You're creating some problems. And I'm going to share this in our next show. And you can't see the problems happening, but you're creating problems. You don't have celiac disease. So 1 out of 3 people have the gene that could be expressed where they would benefit to avoid gluten. So 1 out of 3. Now, not all 1 out of 3 people are gluten sensitive because nothing's happened to cause the disruption that would stimulate them to become gluten sensitive. So let me give you an example. And we'll share clarity on this in our next show. And then I'll post like the clip of as Barbara and I talk about it. But you hear stories a lot, and I've witnessed it with friends and family members. They go to Mexico, and this is not a dig on Mexico, but they eat or drink something that is foreign to them, and then they get that gut problem, right? And then they get back. They eventually go to the doctor, and they find out that they have celiac disease. Well, they were fine, but there was something that happened that when they consumed whatever it was they consumed, it created a disruption in their microbiome, in their gut bacteria. And as a result of that disruption, same as antibiotics and other things, they get that upset tummy ache. They experience all these symptoms. They go get checked out, and they find out when they test their stool, they do the testing that they do, that this person is now gluten sensitive. So the disruption of their microbiome and the fact that they were 1 of 3 people that had this gene that now, because of this, the disruption is now expressed in the form of this disease called celiac. So if you have celiac disease, then yes, it's to your benefit to avoid gluten. But if you do not have celiac disease, there is no need to avoid barley and certain wheat-based products and grains. And by avoiding them, and you are not diagnosed with celiac, you are setting yourself up. You're creating more disruption. This is not me waking up saying, hey, I'm just going to say this today. This is proven. This is scientific. We know this. So it kind of goes back to that whole thing of like too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Well, people assume, oh, I don't do gluten. Well, why is it that you don't do gluten? Why are you avoiding wheat? Well, I'm gluten sensitive. How do you know that? Well, I just know when I eat certain things, I feel a certain way. Guess what? You could actually be a responsible adult. You can go to your physician. You can say you want to get the test done to find out if you are gluten sensitive and get clarity. Because if you are not gluten sensitive, if you do not have gluten or celiac disease, and you are avoiding foods that have gluten in them, you are setting yourself up. You are creating disruption in your microbiome. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's kind of like I shared, scientific data with someone a couple of days ago on a study that was done in 2018. It was published in Cell, which is a very respectable publication. And they looked at people who had antibiotics, and they did a placebo-controlled blind blah, blah, blah study where the people, they had various groups do different things, but the ones who had antibiotics, they monitored the ones who took a probiotic, because, we've been told this forever, right? We've been told this forever. You get antibiotics. When you're done taking the antibiotics, then it's ideal for you to like replenish your bacteria because you've lost a lot of it. And with probiotics, we've been told that. Well, when the study was done, on if the probiotics actually help with restoration of the lost healthy bacteria. It was very clear in this study, this clinical study done by reputable universities, organizations. It was clear that the people who took the probiotic prolonged the restoration of their bacteria. So the probiotic after antibiotics was not helping, it was hurting. Now, the dairy industry is not going to share this with you. The multi-billion-dollar supplement industry is not going to share that with you. I read the study. The study is clear. So why is it that almost every doctor is still encouraging their patients after they give them antibiotics to take a probiotic? When you have conclusive evidence that is clear that it delays restoration, you would be better off in eating your way back to a healthy gut bacteria. That is the facts. And if you want, email me. I'll give you the study. I'll give you, I'll share it with you. I shared it with our coaches. I haven't heard anything from any of the coaches. Well, actually, that's not true. I heard a few things from them, but some of them I think are probably shocked. Don't really know what to do about it because we're told for years. Like I was frustrated when I saw this study because I've heard for years. And at one point in my life and in the literature, I was telling everybody, take a probiotic after antibiotics or when you do like a cleanse to replenish, to restore. And I started pulling back about 7-8 years ago because I was like, there's certain things just aren't making sense because I was learning about the microbiome, 10 years ago or so. And my little bit of knowledge had me. So I was like, okay, well, maybe there's other things I can encourage people to do as I get a better understanding of this. And fast forward, boom, 2018, the clarity was there. So again, just because you hear everybody talking about avoiding gluten, just because all these companies are marketing avoid gluten, if you do not have celiac, don't avoid these grains. Don't avoid the bread that has wheat in it. Okay. You're doing more damage to your internal metabolism, health by avoiding these foods, these food groups. Same as if when people are doing all these crazy diets, avoiding food groups. For years, I've been telling everybody variety is the spice of life when it comes to food. And now we know that it's only variety of foods that's going to help you get the diversity in your gut health that's going to strengthen your immune system and put you in a position to live your best life and to be able to be in homeostasis where everything is in balance and everything is working for you. So, I will share that. It's funny because I shared that study and I brought it up, to Barbara, who's a host. She's also a diet-free life coach. She's got her own business. She does her own thing. But, when I called her and I asked her, I said, hey, did you see that study that I published? And it was interesting because in her words, I think we kind of talked about, both of us, how it can kind of piss you off when you find out you've been told one thing for so long and you find out that it's not the truth, right? Because we just assume that it's the truth. I mean, Dr. Oz does it. Years ago I did it. So I was part of the problem too. But fortunately, I haven't been part of the problem since my eyes were open, and definitely not since 2018. We removed a lot of that stuff from our detox and just encourage people just to eat a lot of, basically to follow our diet-free life methodology. Make sure you get a variety of food and make sure you're getting a good amount of dietary fiber, a variety of it, no specific foods, but just eat fruits and vegetables. What a lot of people call plant-based. and then you get restoration. So anyway, I shared way more than I was supposed to share about that, because we're going to talk about it in our podcast, the Stay Healthy Experience. So make sure you check that out. And I went to the store and I bought this product. I'm going to show it to you. Okay. I've been looking at this because I used to fight professionally, and I'm a fan of Conor McGregor. If you follow MMA, and I look at this all the time when I go to the Vons or in the store. I look at it, I look at it, I look at it. But I'm not a liquor type guy, and this is, for me, it seems like it's very expensive when I looked at it. But I went to the store and I said, you know what? In celebration for Jax in her life, I'm going to do something out of the ordinary. And when Jax and I used to talk, she loved how I used to talk a lot. I remember back then I would use words like upgrade. We're going to upgrade parts of your life, upgrade parts of your nutrition, upgrade. So I would always say upgrade. And she really liked that, because we did I was part of a big project with this thing called the California Wellbeing Institute in Westlake, California, which is the Four Seasons. And Jax actually hired me. I was the first person they hired to actually create programs for them, which is owned by David Murdoch, Dole Vegetables and Fruits. It was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity. But so I saw this, and there's a UFC fight tonight, and I was thinking about Conor McGregor. Every time I see this, I think, because this is his product. And I said, I'm going to get this. I don't even know what it's going to taste like, but I'm going to pour a little bit in a glass. I'm going to add some ice to it, kind of like Vampire Diaries, because I'm a vampire fan. And I'm going to toast to you, Jax. I'm going to toast to you. Yeah. And I'm just sorry that I didn't get to see you. You're an amazing person, and you have some awesome daughters and a husband that was awesome, or is awesome. But anyway, a lot of people love that lady. She was good people, always working and doing everything for everybody else. So I salute you. And Amy, again, happy birthday. Enjoy your day. And for those of you who caught this live all the way to this point, sorry, I don't really come on and do stuff like this. I'm stronger because, I tried to do this a little over a year ago for Judy Q. Couldn't do it. I was just a big old baby crying. I just couldn't. I couldn't. And I tried like 3 times because she was so active in our Facebook group. I just couldn't. She is my friend. So I look at Judy every day. She's on a picture behind me. Think about her all the time. And I'll think about Jax all the time. And I know we can't live forever, you guys. I know that. I mean, it'd be great. But with this whole Facebook and all these friends and working with you guys, it does hurt when you lose a friend / client. It really does. Yeah. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Yeah. Blessings.